Past masters of horizontal violence skulk about town by Featherstone, on Stout, down Custom House Quay. Bully boy racer blowhards, they belt you in the back, throw sand in your eyes, then hoon around night and day. All taunt, jostle, swashbuckling, hiss and spit, drag racing in great gusts, trashing the streets. Near Brooklyn Heights and Tinakori Hill, it's hit and run for fun, breaking the limbs of young trees and old ladies before shrieking off to push and shove the ferries and flatten the harbour. Oh, for a big high to arrest the lot, pack them off for a spell in Macra's wind farm prison. I'd now like to read you a poem which I found in a bit of writing about an exhibition of paintings. And the paintings were by Turi Park, who is in the room tonight, and one of the paintings is on the cover of the book. And the painting is Dawn Poem for Taranaki. I was as intrigued by the writing about the poems as I was by the paintings themselves. And I found that the writing had some wonderful language in it, and I decided to steal the writing. And you can do this in poetry as long as you say who you've stolen it from, so it's okay. And this particular piece of writing was by someone called Charles Dawson. As it turned out later, he was the owner of painting Taranaki, the Dawn Poem Taranaki. Serendipity. The exhibition was called Camera Obscura, and I've called this set of poems Camera Obscura Revealed. And the first one, which I'll read out to you, is called The Layered Memories of a Place. The leaf-touched air became skies browned at the edges, the legacy of bush burning. Prosperity was built on rivers of ash, balanced by the glare of late spring. The post-colonial landscape is layered with disruption, leaves referencing the ploughed furrows of Parahaka. Histories have been tucked away in now unlived spaces, where cycles of growth are the currency of decay. Memories caught tight in the net of senses. Now, Turi's father, Jeff Park, was one of New Zealand's, if not the preeminent eco-historian, and wrote a seminal work called Ngā Ura Ora, The Groves of Life. And one of the favourite places that Jeff and Turi used to go to was Papaitonga Reserve. And after going there myself, I wrote this poem, and I've dedicated it to Jeff Park. Papaitonga Reserve in the duck shooting season. Snarl of steeplejack, karaka, kowhai, rata, net of wetlands flax. But Korimako and Tui, as quiet as Huia, Chari survivors of the colonial war on native bush, living safely in this memorial patch. Why did we whisper while walking there? So the goats of Te Keepa and his iwi dispossessed would stay asleep? Perhaps. Or maybe because we were disturbing Tane Mahuta's crypt. Secretly, Bulla would have been pleased with the next door 19th century pastoral scene. Shade tree complete with cattle. A constable less the cathedral. Wakefield's New Zealand rural dream made real. What has changed? Shotgun sounds and the smell of burning still stain the air. Barbed wire fence and weed spray keep Papaitonga at bay. Streams of Te Keepa's tears still feed the lake. I live in the Hutt Valley, and I can look out the room I do a lot of writing in, up to Percy's Reserve, or part of Percy's Reserve. And this part of Percy's Reserve used to have a lot of grand mansions in it. And if you go for a walk through Percy's Reserve, or this part of it, you will find traces of these grand mansions. The poem is Evensong in a Graveyard of Villas. The pines on the ridge are about to cede their colour to the night. Once more, light's absence will shroud this place. Not even car lights on the highway below, such as their need for road when it's dark. Remark the trees, their placement, their particular explanation of green. Soon the evening will lay claim to vestiges of villas which once stood in the bush beneath the pines, orphaned lawns, homeless paths, rhododendron that flower among five-finger, tree fern, rata. These last artefacts mark the bones of grand abodes. These and a plaque at the site of each home, listing its name, its history of dwellers, its date of sacrifice to the road. Called Tongues of Ash, and I'll come back to the cover a little later, but the poems are mainly about place and identity, personal identity, memories of place, the environment, and matters such as those. And I thought I would read mainly poems about Eastbourne and Lower Hutt to put a theme to the evening. Having said that, the first poem is called Winds and Time, and the poem that I'm about to read came from me hearing a weather forecast which contained the phrase, "Tomorrow's forecast is for dangerous gales," and it just took my fancy. Throughout our lives blow many winds and gales. Tomorrow's forecast is for dangerous gales. Loved ones and their dreams are drowned at sea when storms cause ships on shoals to sail. At night, the moon is lashed by trees, while men go mad from days of nor'west gales. Wind on sand makes seas of crescent moons, and sand on winds of time all life assails. Take my hand, Margaret, my love, we'll climb the tops, lean forward, yell, push back tomorrow's gales.
So some people have suggested that this book would be more accurately titled if one simply removed the N from the first word. So it was me briefly explained, but I completely deny these rumours. None of these, as you'll tell, as anybody who knows me will tell while I'm reading this, none of these poems have anything to do with me at all. Okay, of course, I'm probably going to contradict that. When I was 2, my parents decided to emigrate to New Zealand, something I didn't have a lot of choice in at the time, and this poem is based on that experience. I don't remember much of it, but I've been told plenty about it. It's called Impertinent to Sailors. Curved over islands, the world dragged me south in a talkative year, slipping Southampton as the band played a distant farewell. It was better than steerage, that assisted passage. £10 palms at 6pence the dozen, promenading in sun frocks, gathering for quoits, angling in an understated way for a seat at the captain's table, while I, a child, roamed decks, became impertinent to sailors. And the heat, my dear, there never were such days. Rum, romance, the rudiments of scar. Panama beckoned, locks pulsing like the birth canal. We passed through to be rocked on the swells of the quiet ocean, its long, unshaded days of trade winds, doldrums, equator. Then a cold shore, a bureaucratic harbour, and the half of a world it would take to say goodbye. A man, or actually not such a young man anymore, moves from Dunedin to Wellington, and suddenly all the cultural mores are subtly different. This one is called Belong. Into what shade there is you walk, carrying black bag, water bottle, coat you'll need later when the wind begins. 6 feet of nothing when young, a rake in shorts and singlet. You cut a fuller figure now. Fat girdles your waistline. Chromosomes erode within. You're on your way to a meeting. Don't be late, you think, then. Don't be early. Into what shade there is. You walk more slowly as the venue nears, shortening your steps. 1 foot, 2. Glass door, name tags rampant on a field of bays. Put yours on. Assume the position. You belong. Tell yourself as you sit at the back, noting questions you will not dare to ask. Tell yourself you belong. Queens of silk, kings of velour. A 70s party, disco, afros, flares and ABBA. I'm dancing with the women, talking with the men. 3 songs up, strutting my stuff, the only male dancer, bathed in unprecedented female attention. 3 songs down, back on the sofa, our gang of 4 likely lads trading facts about the history of punk. On the floor, I'm surrounded by silk, smiles, the sensational shimmying. On the sofa, we've moved on to Yes. I sing the chorus of Close to the Edge with a man I don't even know. This is what it means to be a man. Not the All Blacks, not power tools, not fighting foreign wars, but the ability to name all the members and ex-members of obscure 70s bands. Dance to the music, Sly says, and so I must obey, but not without a caveat. Is this actually from the 70s? Asks the couch-bound friend. From 1968, I say. Let's dance. Now, continuing the musical theme, on the 7th of July 1969, the Rolling Stones played a free concert in Hyde Park, and a number of other bands were on the undercard, assuming, and I'm really showing off my musical taste or lack of them now, King Crimson, one of my favourite bands. It seemed to me not entirely unlikely, instead of King Crimson on the bill, a different progressive rock band fronted by J.K. Baxter and Alan Kernow might have been playing instead, because there's a bit of a sort of Lennon-McCartney or Jagger and Richards thing about those two, in my opinion. So here we go. Baxter Kernow Band, live at Hyde Park, 1969. Nobody smiles on the gatefold sleeve, though that might be a smirk from the drummer. This is art, not pop, from the summer when love curdled to discontent. It surely was not easy playing behind those two. Kernow always demanding, Baxter perfecting the prophet's penetrating stare. 4 sides, 9 tracks, no singles and no flash photography. Overlong, we'd call it nowadays, overblown. Cowbell and mellotron, zither, Hammond organ, Marshall stacks and London Philharmonic, odd meters, broken rhythms, 2 voices straining for harmony, their differences as much musical as personal. Within 6 months it would all be over. Alan going solo, Jim in a different hemisphere, getting his head together in the country. Let this stand as their monument, these 2 vinyl slabs of pretension and achievement. Lift the tone arm, lower the needle. Be transported back to granny glasses, new mown grass, 2 voices high and rising above the restless crowd. Better read a Wellington poem, since you're in Wellington. This one has a rather unwieldy title, Epiphenomenon. His favoured, rather chilly position is to call the city an epiphenomenon, a temporary thing, a smudge on the map, soon wiped away. In Courtney Place, where smokers use nicotine against the night. He rules the pavement tables. People edge closer to listen. People edge away. All built on cheap oil. When that runs dry, you mark my words. He falls silent. It's cold. The wind scatters his embers on the ground. Later, pigeons lead the clean-up crew. A sparrow muscles in. Bacteria find space for life between the bricks. The city trembles, writhes, grows another clump of cells. Apartments, each a box like his to store the future in. And this poem, Impertinent to Sailors, was actually recently found on the internet by a composer in Australia. He used it as the, I think I'd call it the libretto. It was just for a choral piece that was recently premiered at a concert in Sydney called Brighton to Bondi. It's really more like Portsmouth to Christchurch, but those are minor details. Impertinent to Sailors. Curved over islands, the world dragged me south in a talkative year, slipping Southampton as the band played a distant farewell. It was better than steerage, that assisted passage, £10 poms at sixpence the dozen, promenading in sun frocks, gathering for quoits, angling in an understated way for a seat at the captain's table. While I, a child, roamed decks, became impertinent to sailors. At the heat, my dear, there never were such days. Rum, romance, the rudiments of scar. Panama beckoned, locks pulsing like the birth canal. We passed through to be rocked on the swells of the quiet ocean. Its long unshaded days of trade winds, doldrums, equator. Then a cold shore, a bureaucratic harbour, and the half of a world it would take to say goodbye.